All right, good evening. It is an honor to be with you tonight and share this stage with Kevin and April. They are two wonderful leaders, but more importantly, they're amazing people, and I'm honored to call them my friends. I wish you both the luck tonight. I want to take this opportunity to introduce myself to those I have yet to have the pleasure of meeting. My name is David Naylor, and I'm the proud principal at Model Laboratory School in Richmond, Kentucky. I hope you'll be able to learn a little bit about me and who you'll get if I'm elected your leader and as vice president. My father was born and raised in New Jersey. My mother was born in Washington State, but grew up in Glendale, California. As a child, I moved a lot, coast to coast. I attended 11 different schools in Pennsylvania, Oregon, and Nevada. I was a struggling reader because of my dyslexia, and I also suffered from low self-esteem and did not have a real sense of who I was and who I wanted to be. I had always admired the military, and in the junior year of my high school year, I decided to join. I chose to become a Marine for 3 reasons. 1, I really admired the swagger they had. I wanted to be self-assured just like them. 2, my teachers and my counselors told me not to join the Marines because they thought it was too tough for me. So I wanted to prove to them and to myself that I could do it. And the 3rd one, the Marine Corps dress blues are the sharpest uniforms out there. And I wanted to look good. And I was also hoping it would help me find the future Mrs. Naylor. This might sound a little odd, but I was really excited the day I met my drill instructors. I felt these men would be the ones who would build me up and make that confident Marine and person. So I'm sure I had a little smirk on my face as they came running in, throwing trash cans, yelling and screaming at people, and ultimately making fools of themselves. And that smile is probably the reason that drill instructor Sergeant Null pinpointed me out, came running up, started yelling in my face, made a few jokes about my last name, and then asked the same question all recruits were asked. Do you have what it takes to make it in my Marine Corps? At this time, I mustered all the courage I had, and I said, yes, drill instructor. The only problem was, it was just that loud. And if you know anything about Marine Corps boot camp, the drill instructors like recruits yelling as loud as you can. So drill instructor Sergeant Null took this opportunity to make an example of me. So he asked me a follow-up question. He said, do you want to be my friend? With a big smile on my face, I looked at him, which was mistake number 1, and then I said, yes, I think we can be friends, which was mistake number 2. From that point on, Sergeant Null and I were BFFs. Whenever he needed a recruit to go to the classroom to see how much sweat one body can make, he called his best friend. When he wanted to take a trip island hopping around the base to see how much sand my body can hold, I was there. And he made sure to point out everything he did not like about me and what I did not do well. Because according to Sergeant Null, that's what best friends do. After nearly 3 months of this friendship, I had made it. I was on the parade deck, standing as tall as I could be, with my mom crying and my stepdad just beaming with pride. But that feeling disappeared, because out of the corner of my eye, I saw a very familiar stride. I turned and looked, and there he was, Drill Instructor Sergeant Null, headed right for me, and his eyes locked. That sense of confidence turned to fear, because I was afraid he's going to tell my parents that he doesn't know how I made it as a Marine. Because he said that not only every day, but also that morning when he took me one last time around the islands. But to my surprise, he stopped about 20 feet short, called me over, and just like the day we'd met, he asked me a question that caught me off guard. He asked, "Can I buy you a beer?" And just like when we first met, and he asked me if we wanted to be friends, I did not give the best answer. I responded by saying, "But Sergeant Null, you hate me." He let out a soft laugh and explained to me that he did not hate me, but he saw a strength in me that I did not see in myself. He explained that he was trying to bring out those qualities in me and for me to use them to lead Marines. He referenced the 14 leadership traits that we all learned, but he added 2 more that he felt great leaders had. These traits were compassion and humility. He said I had both and displayed them repeatedly throughout boot camp. He told me I could be a great leader, but I had to step out of the sidelines and go to the front of the line. He explained many leaders think being a leader is about being in charge, but great ones understand they have their own limits and will rely on the strengths of others to overcome challenges. He also said leaders who are truly followed by others are compassionate to those they serve. Great leaders listen and relate to others to better understand how they can help make them the best versions of themselves. Lastly, he also explained that I bested him. I never changed and never left the sidelines, but I encouraged the fellow recruits by listening to them and cheering them on when I had the opportunity. And that's why he wanted to buy me a beer, because he said I was one stubborn SOB. I wish I could say this moment changed me right away, but it did not. Instead, it took time and encouragement from others to see in myself what Sergeant Null saw in me so long ago. And with the current climate of our nation, we need more leaders who share the traits of compassion and humility. I have worked or volunteered in schools in Hawaii, Pennsylvania, Florida, and Kentucky. I have learned the needs of each school are different, even within one district. It's important to have leaders who are willing to listen to others, understand where they are coming from, and be open to ideas from others. This is what you get with me if I'm elected. I want to thank you for your time and dedication to children and to your staffs. If it weren't for people like you, I do not know if I'd have this opportunity to stand on this stage today. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, David. At this time, we will move into the question and answer portion of the presentation. David, you will have 2 minutes to respond to the following question. If elected, what would be your 2 greatest priorities for your term as president of NAESP? Again, if elected, what would be your 2 greatest priorities for your term as president of NAESP?
My two biggest priorities are ones that are already facing us today. As an administrator in Florida and Osceola County, we hired around 600 teachers every single year. In my last year there, we had a shortage of 189 for the whole school year. So it's recruiting and retaining teachers and working with universities to help that problem out. Part of the reason I chose Model Lab School to go to is the fact that it was on a university campus. I've enjoyed the opportunity of working with education professionals in that field and working with them to help streamline their programs and make sure their people, not just teachers, but speech language pathologists, school counselors, are better trained and prepared to go into the field at what's going on in our schools today. The second one is something I think we all have dealt with over the past couple years more so than ever, and that's the social and emotional well-being of our students and staff. We're expected to be the rock of the school, but anyone that's taken science class knows rocks can be weathered and broken down. And there's not enough talk about how we're going to take care of ourselves. So I think the social emotional well-being and providing principals with the tools to not only help themselves, but to help themselves with their staff and their students. Because like any good diet, if you have someone that's in there with you together, you're going to have greater success. So those would be my 2 main priorities: recruitment and retainment of teachers, and also the social well-being of everyone involved in the school.
Thank you, David. Now we will move to the second question, which David will select randomly. Again, the candidates do not know the specific questions, only the nature of them. What would be your priorities in regard to federal and state funding regarding public schools? Again, What would be your priorities in regard to federal and state funding regarding public schools?
Wow, that's a big question because in each state I've been, it'd probably be a little bit of a different answer. But I'd probably also relate back to my last question. I really think it's important that a mental health counselor is in every school. Putting that pressure on our school counselors, which are trained in a very different field, is not fair, and it's also not fair for our teachers and as administrators as well. But it's also looking at beyond that, making sure our schools are in good shape. I've been in places where, and actually my current school right now, there is asbestos in the school. There's mold growing in the schools. It's making sure that the buildings are up to date so our teachers and students can have a healthy and safe place to learn. The last part is, once again, is how are we recruiting teachers? How are we getting them into the field? How are we offering scholarships and opportunities for a teacher to go through school without having debt, which adds other stressors onto them as they graduate and go into a school setting? I would like to look for more opportunities for that, and also how we can streamline the changes in the college level to take the 4 to 5 year degree and streamline it into 3 years. So that way we can actually help fix that problem that we have. So that's how I'd use federal and state fundings to help our public schools. Thank you.